So welcome everybody. This is Jeff Rohrs. I'm the CMO of Jobvite, and you are here in the Summer to Evolve in the break room. And we have got a great session for you today. So let me tell you a little bit about it. First of all, though, I wanted to share that we've got 12 weeks to the Summer to Evolve, all sorts of different content. And next week, our theme is going to be job descriptions and interviewing. You can see all the sessions there. One of my favorites I'm going to be moderating is the conversation with Todd Capone and William Tincup. That should be a really interesting one as we dig in on perspective of a hiring manager and somebody who's a TA professional about the topic. So go to the Summer to Evolve to register for that. And today's session, I'm really very excited about. I have been following Special Guest App since its launch. Damon Wayans Jr, many of you may know him from his acting credits with New Girl and Happy Endings and films like Big Hero 6. Kris Jones is a serial entrepreneur, somebody I met early in the days of search engine marketing with his company Pepper Jam. He's written a number of books. He has founded a number of companies, and the two of them came together for Special Guest a number of years ago, and we get a chance to find out more about their story today. So without further ado, let's dig in. Damon, we're going to turn on your camera, fire up your microphone, and are you there?
Well, I'm here, man.
Excellent. And where is here? Where we find you today?
This is my closet.
Your closet? Excellent.
Yeah. I'm on the floor.
Is it an official webcasting closet? Is this where all the interviews are done?
Yeah, right now.
Well, honored to have
my underwear in this drawer.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
And are you mourning the bankruptcy of Brooks Brothers? Were you a Brooks Brothers guy at all?
Yeah, I'm really sad about that.
Yeah, a lot of people down.
Yeah.
So I am so excited to have you here. We're obviously going to talk primarily today about Special Guest, but I know a number of folks on the line are big fans of your acting. I'm personally hoping for a sequel to The Other Guys called The Other Guys with you and Rob Riggle. I don't know if that'll be feasible, but if I can have a vote for that.
Yeah, I love Rob, so I'd love to make that happen.
Excellent.
That was one of my favorite experiences ever, like in the film industry.
I used to work in that area of Madison Square Park, and I know a lot of it was shot there. And it's just fun to watch something that is shot in an area you're familiar with. And you had such great cast on that. So we'll be talking more about films later. But one of the things we do with all our guests is ask summer favorites. And the one that stuck out at me in your answers was you are allergic to ice cream. So if an ice cream truck comes along, is there anything you can order and eat off of said truck?
The chips. They usually have like chips there too, for some reason, on ice cream.
Is there
I could do like a bomb pop or like yeah. And I might do an ice cream sandwich, but then I'll just get a stuffy nose if I do that.
Fair enough. And I'm very intrigued by your hamburger or hot dog answer.
Well, yeah, in private I'm a hot dog guy. In public I'm gonna go with the hamburger. Hot dogs are a lot more intimate of a food.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, well, let's bring your partner and co-founder of Special Guest on here. Hey, Kris, you there?
I am here, yes.
He loves dogs.
I do, and that was awesome. So if I could keep a straight face, go ahead and ask me a serious question. I need to go ahead.
Serious question. Okay, let's see. Are you still working with the French Girls app?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
And can you tell people real quickly what that app does? Because I was always really intrigued by that model.
Yeah, cool. So you called me a serial entrepreneur earlier. So serial, not what we eat, but meaning I've been part of a lot of companies over the last 20 years. So that's how I get that title.
Kris, I would be much more impressed if you were like the Quisp mogul or something of that nature, though.
Maybe. So French Girls is an app that that helps artists. So, freelance artists, so digital artists, make money by drawing selfies and drawing other pictures of people. And once those commissions are done, there's an aftermarket where you could buy those said pictures and put them on, wall art, so you could hang them on the wall. So it's like a, number one, it allows you to personalize your wall hangings in your apartment or in your house, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Very cool. And
yeah,
it's interesting that you've got a theme of helping artists here. So we'll dig in on special guest momentarily. Before we do, I notice both of you are favorite vacation spot folks in Costa Rica. So where is Tulamar?
Yeah, I'll start. I actually, Damon was independently answering his questions, and he came back with Costa Rica. So, ironically, Damon, why don't you answer the question first? Would you say Tulamar? Have you been to other places other than Tulamar in Costa Rica?
I have, but when we spoke, it was Tulamar. So
okay. So for you, it's Costa Rica in general, or Tulamar specifically?
I mean, I had the most fun in Tulamar.
Yeah. So Jeff, for me, picture this: you're nestled in the middle of a rainforest with monkeys on your porch, and you're looking at the Pacific Ocean. And it could be 1920, it could be 1960, or it could be 2020. It's probably the same picture, and it's just unbelievable.
Wow.
So that's why I love Costa Rica.
And the food is phenomenal.
Food is great.
I see more and more people answering Costa Rica of late. So that's interesting. You both have experiences from there.
I was gonna
it was
say
just
Hawaii,
ironic.
Sorry, I was gonna say Hawaii initially, but it's there's so many people in Hawaii now. I feel like Costa Rica still hasn't been overpopulated yet.
Excellent.
Not golf courses,
Well, one thing that I wanted to note here is, Damon, your family is often discussed in interviews, I noticed, but Kris's family is not. And if you Google famous Joneses, there are a lot of famous Joneses, Kris. So you got to be related to one of these people, like, Angus Jones there from 2.5 Men, or Tom Jones, Davy Jones of the Monkees. Any of these relatives?
Since you mentioned Davy Jones, yeah, sure, he's my third cousin.
What about James Earl?
James Earl?
James
Grace?
Earl, I'm not sure. I would have to check the family tree on that one.
I think you need to do a 23andMe so you can hold up your end of these interviews on the family side, please. So,
by the way, really quick.
Yeah.
Go back. Oh, is that a screenshot, or was that a live Google shot?
Because that was a live Google shot mere moments before we went live.
Okay. The funny thing is so Kris Jones, my name is spelled with a K, K-R-I-S. So if you type that in 2 years ago, you would have got all of this Kris Jones, and then this country star went viral on YouTube or otherwise with the name Kris Jones. And now when you type Kris Jones in, embarrassingly, it's very difficult to find me. Now, of course, if you type in Christopher Jones, all is good. But yeah, so somebody stole my fame, Jeff.
I'm very disappointed. Being an SEO expert, I figured you'd be able to suppress country singer Kris Jones.
Haven't gone there yet.
Hey, well, I'm playing the role of Jobvite CMO on this fine interview today. There's a little bit about me, how you can connect with me, and I want to remind folks we've got the Q&A panel. I'm clicking on it right now. So if folks have questions, just go to the Q&A panel and go to webinar, drop a question in there. I'll take a look and I'll drop it into the conversation. If any of us say anything worth documenting, go to the Twitter or whatever your social media is of choice. Use hashtag JobviteS2E. And we are recording this session. Kris and Damon have been gracious enough to let us share it afterwards. So we will make sure everybody gets that link. So without further ado, let's bring up special guests and let me briefly explain what you guys did here, and then you can kind of correct me or guide me. So a few years ago, you had the opportunity to pitch this idea of special guests in a way to hire live entertainers, regular folks connecting with entertainers locally. And it's very simple. If you go to specialguestapp.com, you can see this page. It just explains how you can hire talent and connect with talent. And you had built it for a physical world, but then the pandemic hit and we all went virtual. So one of the things we'll dig in is what that meant for your business. And you know, with that, let's start maybe at the beginning. And I'm going to hit pause here on the on my sharing of the screen so that I can see you guys on video. I'm interested, Damon, this was an idea that you had. You've been an entertainer in an entertaining family for a very long time. So what was the aha moment for you?
The aha moment, shout out to Oprah. Did she coin that, by the way?
I have to believe it predates
Probably
Oprah.
took it from somebody on her show.
He's responsible for Dr. Oz, and that's what I know.
Oh, okay. Yes. So I do stand-up comedy a lot. When I'm not acting, I'm doing stand-up, and when I'm not like traveling to do stand-up, I'm working on my craft. I go to a lot of open mics still, and there's just so many talented people there. I remember one time I was at this show with this open mic, and there was this lady who went on stage and she performed her own music. She had this acoustic guitar. She killed it. I asked her, like, does she have any representation? You know, how do I get in contact with her? And she said she's working on it. And that was the aha moment. I was like, there's so many talented people out here that are underrepresented or not represented at all. I'd say probably 90% of entertainers aren't represented sufficiently. And so I wanted to create a platform that made it easier for talented people like that to earn money doing what they love, as opposed to just making it a hobby or really struggling. Or you can struggle, but I want you to get paid while you're struggling and while you're ascending.
So you have this idea. What are the first steps you take to make it a reality? And then, you know, you're West Coast, Kris is in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. How did the two of you get connected?
So I had this idea, and it was just like, you know, percolating. And I have a friend who knew Kris Jones, and she's the one that introduced me to Kris. I pitched him the idea. He helped me kind of reformat it, and we just built it until it became something actually real. And here we are.
Well, and one of the first steps, Kris, you had was pretty unique. You guys appeared on the first, if I understand correctly, the first original television series for Apple TV, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it was called Planet of the Apps.
And
what fond memories we have of Planet of the Apps, right, Damon?
Oh yeah, that was the best.
It was the first time I was ever on television, and fortunate for me, my partner has been on television many times. So he after the first day of taping, I literally went home and was like, oh my God, like what am I doing? How do I act? And then he was basically you know, like, listen, think about it this way. And so we went into the show. There was actually the opportunity to make money at the end of it. So we ended up raising money through the TV show, and it helped us initially get some buzz about special guest.
And you know, I've watched that episode. It's still available. I think it was episode 4 in the series. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
So if folks want to go back, they can watch it. You guys actually got funding and supported by one of they aren't sharks. What were they called?
Just venture capitalists.
Tank, right?
Yeah.
So your investors, who invested in you, and how did that then proceed?
Yeah, so just to make the connection, so Damon, mutual friend, connects us. We start building this app together. We get cast on the TV show. We partner up with will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. So the TV show was will.i.am, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jessica Alba, and Gary Vaynerchuk. And they were the 4 coaches. And the show itself was sort of a blend of like The Voice, The Apprentice, and Shark Tank. So it wasn't like any one of them, but it was kind of a mashup of them. We partnered with will.i.am, which is exactly who we wanted to. Over the course of a couple of months, they followed us around with cameras, and we built this app. And at the end of it, Damon and I and Will pitched it to Lightspeed Venture Partners and this iconic investor by the name of Jeremy Liu. And we had no idea going into it what to expect. And with the cameras rolling, candidly, it really was suspenseful. And Of course, they had shot probably 100 hours of footage for, you know, we were probably on TV for maybe 20 minutes cumulatively, 25 or something. And so, you know, they leave out a lot. But at the end, we did end up raising about $1.5 million through the initial part of the show. And then we've raised another about $1 million since from some additional venture capitalists, as well as some influencers, some celebrities.
And Damon, how was it being on a show in that way, kind of a reality show, and, you know, coming at it from an entrepreneurial standpoint as opposed to acting?
You know, at the time I was so green when it came to, you know, venture capitalists and just tech in general. So I was learning along the way the whole time. Probably the easiest part of that experience was just the cameras being in my face. You know, everything else was kind of like, okay, I was, you know, TAM analysis. I was learning all these different acronyms. And
Do you know what that stands for?
total something. I used to know.
No, dude, that was totally cool. Total addressable market. It's awesome.
Total addressable market. See, if you said it, I'd know it. But yeah, so that was kind of my battle. Kris's battle was the cameras. My battle was the know-how, and thankfully I had Kris Jones by my side, because I wouldn't know what to do if he wasn't there.
Well, and Jeff, that to that point, real quick, I reflect back on it, and you know, again, 100+ hours of footage, 20 some minutes. Damon and I spent several days in the Silicon Valley and in Los Angeles, you know, meeting with venture capitalists. For him, it was the first time. Mm-hmm. In that case, I had pitched over 100 of them, you know, in my career, and had raised, you know, millions of dollars in the past. So it was me kind of, showing him how that works. And the amazing thing is, and Damon, you know, you could probably agree here, that in Hollywood, you know, when you have an idea, sometimes you have to pitch it to so many different, you know, studios or whatever. And so as Damon and I were kind of working on this together, we learned pretty quickly that while he may have not had the experience in front of venture capitalists, he had a tremendous amount of experience pitching. And so we got better with it as time went on.
And I'm interested in that, in terms of the idea of rejection there, Damon, right? That, you know, as an actor auditioning, as a screenwriter pitching log lines or what have you, how do you compare that to the VC world, to the world of investment and building a business?
It's strikingly similar, actually. You go in there, you put your best foot forward. Some pitches are smoother, better than others. Sometimes you have a real engagement with the people that you're pitching to, and ultimately it comes down to, you know, behind the scenes, what is best for their business after the pitch. So there's a lot of similarities in that, but it's a lot more technical when it comes to venture capitalists and whether or not they can invest into our dream, our idea. Whereas, like, you know, like acting and pitching television shows or movies is a lot more creative, but behind the scenes, it's also a lot of business too. So it's strikingly similar.
So now I'm interested, you've got the pitch, you've got the funding, you launch it. What are the big moments of learning that you have in say year one or so? Were there some pleasant surprises along the way? Were there things that you thought, boy, we're going to divvy up the work effort this way, and you ended up changing it? I think just the actual day-to-day of this with you as partners and growing that business is intriguing to folks.
I mean, from my point of view, you know, building a marketplace business requires liquidity of both talent and buyers. So you have to have buy and sell going on. So it's an incredibly difficult, highly investable platform, right? So investors like it because if you can hit that level of velocity where you have lots of buying and selling going on. Probably the best example would be eBay or, you know, something like that. But if you could hit that level of velocity, you know, you could really achieve significant scale. So that first year was chicken and egg. You know, what do we focus on? Do we focus on the talent or do we focus on the buyers?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what I will tell you is that we focused on both, and then two things happened. One, eventually we went viral on the talent side because my good buddy Damon was getting interviewed by Ellen DeGeneres, and in pre-production she asked her folks asked him, hey, do you mind if Ellen's interested, she thinks your app is really cool, do you mind talking about it? And so, you know, we were trying to go viral on the talent side. We were scaling pretty impressively on the talent side. And then Ellen said that our app is awesome. And then the rest is history on that side. So now we have, I don't want to say an overabundance of talent, because the more talent, the better, the more opportunities for them to make money. But then we're like, okay, now we have to get the velocity going on the buy side. And so that was kind of year two, to answer your question.
Damon, what were your observations of talent adapting and using the platform? Did it grow the way that you anticipated, or were there some interesting twists and turns, lessons learned there?
Yeah, there were definitely lessons learned. The way that our app was set up initially had a lot of steps to create a profile, and so once we saw the the percentage of how many people weren't completing the profiles, we kind of went in, we dug in there and reformatted it a bit to where it's a lot easier to do. It's even easier now, and that was a game changer right there. I think what a lot of people didn't realize was how eager entertainers are to entertain and how eager they are to get paid. So I felt like it was a lot easier to get the talent on board, especially when there's somebody who they, a lot of them know of me or know me personally.
Sure.
And I'm vouching for this, and I'm vouching for them. I want everyone to succeed, and so that's why we created this. And so there's nothing but good intentions there, and so I think people really felt that, the entertainers really felt that, and they went on, they helped. I mean, they came along with us as we were kind of, figuring things out.
Well, I mean, talk about figuring things out, then you're hit with a global pandemic and stay-at-home orders, and you guys have to all of a sudden offer virtual offerings. Was it as simple as that, or was there a lot more behind the scenes to both set up the infrastructure to support it and to coach the talent on your site on how to take what they do to a virtual environment?
Yeah, you want me to grab? So, man, that is such a difficult question. I will tell you two things. One, we had opportunities to do cameo style entertainment experiences through special guests as what we would call sort of one-offs. They weren't common, but if a particular musician or comedian wasn't available to travel, we would create a virtual like experience. So we would have them call the person who's celebrating their 50th birthday or whatever. So we had thought about it. There was some traction there. We knew that there was this company called Cameo, but we're all about live entertainment experiences, where Cameo is sort of about pre-recorded video experiences with like sort of B-level celebrities. So prior to the pandemic, as I said, in year two, we started moving into the buy side. So how do we communicate to anyone anywhere that it's super easy to hire musicians, comedians, actors, actresses, etc., through our platform? And there were limitations, geographical limitations among other. And then the pandemic came. And one of the things, this is critical actually to understanding why we had to pivot. One of the areas that we started to scale on the buy side, where we were powering bars, restaurants, and nightclub entertainment across the country, and it was growing rather fast. But we all know what happened around mid-March. There were governmental mandates to close those bars and restaurants and clubs. And so overnight, the lights were shut off for our entertainers getting gigs in those particular venues. So when we created virtual, it did one thing that was pretty extraordinary. It immediately made all of our talent, about 100,000 of them, available for hire anywhere in the world virtually. Right. And we didn't know what to expect. And I know we don't have the time, but we could just go, there's so many stories of just extraordinary experiences that were created through special guests during this pandemic, where we've made people laugh, we've made them cry, we've surprised them. One of the things that were really popular on our platform are impersonators. And so anyone watching this can have Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra, Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and dozens and dozens and dozens. Damon Wayans Jr.
That's a senior.
Oh, senior, exactly. And create and bring those people into your Friday happy hour calls, your Zoom birthday calls. And it honestly, Jeff, Damon's heart and my heart as it relates to creating a platform that makes an impact on people who will benefit from it. We all know of the sort of starving artist. Damon has a startup story. One of our investors, Kevin Hart, talks about a story of growing up as a short guy in Philadelphia where nobody thought he was funny. So everyone, even the famous folks, have a story, and our focus has been on helping them. So the pandemic really lent us a hand in terms of creating opportunity. So for anybody watching, it's incredibly affordable to create these live entertainment experiences virtually or in person, but I would encourage you to check it out virtually, since we're still mostly here in most parts of the country in some form of quarantining.
That's great to hear how it's creating that opportunity, because obviously this is a challenging time for folks to figure out how to pivot, and have a partner and special guest that is thinking about that is great for entertainers. Damon, I'm interested in your own creativity. There's got to be a bit of stir craziness going on as an actor and an artist and a stand-up comedian. Is there any of that is lending itself to how you're thinking about how to help the artists on the platform, or creatively starting to blossom and create ideas for what you do next in your career?
I'd say both. I don't think entertainers really need too much of my input. I think entertainers are by nature creative, and by nature want to show their creativity off, and we're just that kind of platform that allows them to do that. I think that entertainers will also go where the money is, or they'll go where the eyeballs are. And so if they know that they can perform for somebody virtually, they're going to do it. I have stand-up comedian friends that are just itching to go on stage. Unfortunately, there's no stages open in Los Angeles right now. But as far as me personally, I still, I have my phone, I have my notes, I write down jokes every day, and I work on jokes for at least an hour. I write also. I'm writing a feature film right now, and I draw a lot too, because I'm writing a graphic novel. So I'm staying busy, I'm staying creative. And so yeah, it definitely helps me. If I didn't have any of these outlets, I'd probably eat a baby. I don't know.
Well, and I'm intrigued, because you are available for booking on special guests. Do you have a favorite booking that you did through the app?
Yeah, I did this. It was kind of in the beginning of our launch. I did a show in Laguna Beach, I think, and with a couple of buddies of mine who are all very, very funny. And it was just, the show was fun, but it was also fun to just be around those guys and we could hear each other's sets, like that. We were so close, our green room was so close to the stage, you could hear everybody's set. So we'd come off stage and then just, pitch each other joke ideas off jokes that we heard them say. And that's what a lot of comedians do. They tag each other's jokes. And
Sure.
so it was just a very, and it was a great crowd. It was packed. I loved it.
Excellent. What's next for special guests? Any updates, other innovations coming into the app that folks should be aware of?
You know what's interesting is there's been an evolution in virtual, right? So it started out with the trend was these Friday virtual happy hours, and we became popular there because people wanted to create new layers in that experience and enhance it. And so we were popular there. And then the idea of the drive-by birthday party, if you remember back in sort of April, right, happened. And so people were trying to figure out how to incorporate us there. And then if we go into May, there were these front porch type of experiences where someone would book mostly musicians on the porch, and then the neighborhood would kind of watch from their porch. That's pretty extraordinary. You could do that through special guest. And now I think what we're starting to see is a hybrid of virtual bookings, non-traditional bookings. Like, we get a ton of bookings where people will say, we want them here live, but we will, the stage will follow all the guidelines, and then we're starting to see some in-person bookings come back. Unfortunately, we're also seeing some of them being booked too soon. And so, for instance, because the pandemic this is a live interview right now, right? The cases are going up in a lot of areas. Some folks have booked in-person performances only to cancel them because they were in the green phase. Now they're in the yellow phase. But the future of special guest is to continue to make it easier for anyone, anywhere to book live entertainment experiences. And because we have nearly 100,000 talent available for hire, and you could do it virtually, you could do it in person, and you could kind of make up your own experience if you'd like. In 5 years from now, we would like whenever anybody, whether it be mom and dad trying to book kids entertainment for their child's birthday party, or whether it be a child looking to create a really memorable experience for their mom and dad's anniversary, or it would be awesome for special guests to eventually be the go-to place for booking wedding entertainment, because there's nobody that has. We're probably one of the top locations in the world as it relates to having a true, talent for anything. I once said in an interview that we're kind of like America's Got Talent for your pocket.
Well, isn't the challenge then, how do you surface that sufficiently in the moment of interest from the individual? So how do you solve for that problem? Damon, you were talking about eliminating the friction in the application or sign-up process. How do you guys focus in on that, getting the right talent in front of somebody for consideration now, especially that with virtual, you're talking about a global talent base?
Oh, this is to me?
Either. Just interested in how you solve for that, surfacing of the right talent, right moment.
It's something I think that I wrestle with. One of our partners is Evite.com, and we've been thinking through what's happened to event bookings together. So we're constantly in contact with them, and obviously the discussions are private, so I don't want to disclose it. But I will tell you this: that imagine you go into a Zoom call or a Google Hangout with a group of 6 friends, and there was a button that you could push that was live entertainment experiences on demand. You click the button, there are 15 impersonators or drag queens ready to come pop into your call right now. There are 15 or more available for hire: musicians, magicians, comedians. So we're thinking through how to create more of a true on-demand experience, which, the idea of virtual has really kind of put this at the front of our product pipeline instead of something that maybe would be nice to do in 2022.
So Damon, I'm interested because in order to properly assess if that talent's right for you, you have to have ratings, reviews, things like that. How have you thought about that, and how are those cooked into special guest?
That was actually we had that set up in the beginning of our app. We wanted to make sure that people were getting their money's worth. We wanted to make sure that the entertainers were also comfortable, and so that they knew what they were getting into as well. So we provide ratings, we provide videos, access to all their different other social media platforms, so you can really see who you're going to get before you even click that that button to get to be entertained.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Damon, I'm interested. This was your first VC experience raising money for special guest. Have there been other things that you've been growing from a business standpoint?
As far as VC, as far as
VC or just entrepreneurial ventures that you've got?
this right now is taking up a lot of my time. This is my baby, so we, Kris and I, definitely want to get this to a place we know it deserves to be before I start looking elsewhere. I mean, not saying that if an opportunity doesn't present itself, I won't, potentially jump on it, but this one is my focus for sure.
And I would be remiss for all the fans of your work if I didn't ask what's next for you creatively. What's in the hopper, and how has the pandemic kind of influenced or impacted that?
Well, I had a couple of movies that were supposed to come out this year in theaters, but pandemic, this this
Are they going to go to
virus.
streaming services, or are they waiting for theatrical?
I think they're trying to figure it out. Or they're going to try and release it next year. I had to do this movie called Barb and Star, go to Vista Del Mar, which stars,
Is it Maya Rudolph?
No,
And
not Maya Rudolph.
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. Why was I blanking on? Yeah, Kristen Wiig and her co-writer of Bridesmaids. They're both acting in it, and
Okay.
it's so funny. And I play a really funny character in the movie. I was just so happy to be a part of that. And then I have a romantic comedy coming out, I think in August or September. We shot that in Canada. By the way, we were talking about Canada earlier. And a movie that I'm setting up with my dad to star in, which is going to be like a road trip stand-up comedy tour type thing that's loosely based on our actual life. So there's going to be a lot of.
You've worked with your father a few times, right? Your first on screen was in Blank Man, right?
Yes, actually, he did a stand-up special like when I was like 4, and I was in that. I was in the beginning of that, so that was my first time being on camera, and he didn't even pay me.
Any stand-up specials for you? I mean, with all the streaming services and things, are you working on anything there?
I'm working on it. I just, I want it to be special. I feel like a lot of comedians are coming out and they're just doing them just because they can. I want to do one that'll be a classic potentially. So yeah, I'm working on it. I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to stand-up comedy, but I would love to when the time's right.
Well, and Kris, you're as much of a workaholic as Damon is, just in a different direction. You've got multiple businesses going, and you now have a building in Wilkes-Barre, as I understand it, and a kind of an incubator, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm actually in a studio that I just created called Studio 16 South, but it's a 5-story accelerator. So we have growth stage technology companies. This is where Special Guest is headquartered, up on the 5th floor. And so yeah, I have a lot going on, and I'll tell you, this is just the truth. Like when you're asked, like, what are your favorite movies or what do you like to do in your free time? Most of my answers have to do with laughing and comedy. So the fact that I have the benefit of calling Damon a friend and working with him on Special Guest, and having sort of a catbird view of some of these exciting things he has going on, is really just one of the highlights of my career. I enjoy it, and there's nothing that I want more than to be able to create this opportunity for special guests to become a global, destination for anyone looking for live entertainment. And importantly, not only booking it, but having an awesome time, laughing, crying, and all of the things that, if we could get back to that and kind of simplify. I'll tell you, one of the things people will ask me about the quarantine, because I do have I have business interests, and economically, this pandemic has really hurt a lot of us that are on this call. But I'm sure a lot of people could relate to what I'm going to say. It was such a gift to be home with my family for a month and a half, 2 months. And it really allowed me to get even more centered on what I care most about. And at the end of the day, the reason I love special guests is that the concept that Damon had for this business was so pure. And we've helped tens of thousands of talent at this point, get gigs all over the place. Our goal is to get to the hundreds of thousands, to the millions, and ultimately, have a business that we look back on. Of course, we want to sell it for $5 billion, Damon, or $3 billion. We fight over that number, and and make the biggest difference we can with it.
So to wrap it up, we've got an audience of recruiters, talent acquisition professionals who are tuning in. What's the one piece of advice that each of you would give to them in terms of trying to help talent achieve the most they possibly can with their abilities and what's in front of them? Maybe Kris, will start with you. What's that advice you give to help accelerate talent?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think one of the most important things that I've learned is we live in a digital world, right? So your digital resume goes beyond your LinkedIn, goes beyond the physical resume you might send in a PDF to a prospect. I think for the recruiters, I think it's important to be able to network into those individuals who care deeply about the story that their careers tell. And I like, particularly as an employer, I like when I see skill is critical, but when I see beyond skill and I see stories, I love getting behind people and nurturing their careers. So my advice would be to do whatever they can to help encourage people to tell stories beyond just their career and beyond just what they've accomplished and beyond what they've achieved. So the why, I guess, for the Simon Sinek's of the world out there, why people do what they do. And I think those are the people that are going to make the biggest difference in any organization that hires them.
Excellent. And Damon, your advice to recruiters seeking to connect and help talent achieve the most with their abilities?
I think just be as transparent as possible. A lot of the traditional venues are kind of like the gatekeepers, and they don't really keep us entertainers in the loop. They treat us kind of, like secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's prioritize them, make them feel like them coming to you is the right decision, and just be as, try to be as transparent as possible, get them paid. They love that. And just encourage them to be entrepreneurial too. A lot of creative people tend to lack that entrepreneurial bone in their body. So teach them to look at themselves as a business, and help them cultivate that business.
Excellent. Well, I want to encourage everybody tuning in, download Special Guest app, go to specialguestapp.com, register. As you gentlemen said, companies can book talent, individuals can book talent. Anything else they should know just about using the app or booking folks at this point in time?
It takes less than 3 minutes from discovery to booking. We've made it so that it's seamless. We've removed virtually all of the friction. So, you know, instead of it being like a Craigslist experience, it's like a Amazon experience.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you very much for the time today, gentlemen. And this is just one of our break room sessions this summer. On the 24th of July, we've got Kelsey J. Patel, who is an author and wellness expert who will be joining us talking about managing stress in this time. And then we are excited to have Jim O'Hare from Parks and Recreation, aka Jerry Larry Gary Gergich, joining us on the 7th. And then if you're interested in rolling with the punches and learning how improv can help in business, that's the conversation on the 21st with Beth St. Clair. So please join me in thanking Damon and Kris for joining us today. We're really excited to have you here at the Summer to Evolve. Hope you'll register for more sessions at thesummertoevolve.com. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.